Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So first I'd like to acknowledge that Kiddush and the bagels and the spreads, all the fish spreads and the fruit and vegetable platters are sponsored by Molly Cinderbrand and Jonathan Gershenhaber and families in celebration of their upcoming marriage on Sunday. Very excited for this wonderful occasion. And I just want to mention that there are also going to be bakery cakes from Swiss House Bakery, Dairy Bakery for Kiddush, which is very exciting as well. We're going to be stuffed via the mitzvah of eating a Shabbos meal, this Kiddush, and it just coincidentally that the anonymous sponsor sponsored this week, so it goes very well together with the rest of the Kiddush. We want to wish the family and friends of Molly and Jonathan who are visiting from near and far, welcome to the shul, welcome to this wonderful occasion, to the Ofruf and the celebration, wedding celebration tomorrow. And even though Molly and John did not actually meet in shul, they came to shul as a couple, they did get engaged while members of the shul, and they also, God willing, will be getting married as members of the shul, which is, I consider that as somewhat of an accomplishment on our part. But either way, we are thrilled for them and wish them all the happiness in the world. Also want to acknowledge that Kiddush is sponsored by Joshua Brett in a celebration of his 5th year anniversary in Philadelphia. So I got him a cake from Swiss House and it says, "Happy anniversary, Joshua and Philly." So enjoy that as well. And then on a more serious note, I want to acknowledge a Kiddush sponsored by Ben Spinner and family, commemoration of the yahrzeit of his father on the 22nd of Shvat, Menashe Nochem and Yitzchak Isaac. May his memory be a blessing. So I mentioned last night that when I thought about what I'm going to speak about this week, I took into consideration the fact that we have an Ofruf and a wedding. I wanted to see if there's any connection, any wedding references in the Parsha, and I believe there are. For instance, when the Jewish people received the Torah at Mount Sinai, the Gemara says, in Masechah Shabbos says that it was similar to a chassan and kala. It was similar to the bride and groom getting married. And Maharali Prague takes this a step further and says that the reason why the Gemara in Masechah Shabbos also in Daf Piches says that God lifted up the mountain over the Jewish people and said, a couple of Harkis Gigis, the Gemara says, that he lifted up the mountain above them as a barrel, like a barrel. Now, it's not so wonderful, it would seem, because he said to him, the Jewish people, that either you accept the Torah, I'm going to smash you to smithereens, which some people can relate to marriage that way, but more importantly, to learn it in a lighter context, the Maral says that it was like a chuppah. Similar to a chuppah, the Jewish people got married, this means lifted up, he looks at it in a more positive sense. Not that God's going to smash them, but it would make getting married to God. And the question I always ask when I get to these parshas, it's astounding to me that the name of the parsha, which arguably has the most important event in Jewish history, I don't think it's actually inarguable. It's the most important event in Jewish history. The reason why we're all called Jews, and there is no other reason, is because we all stood together at Mount Sinai and saw the revelation from God, God speaking to Moses, the only religion in world history to have a mass revelation as the beginning of their history. And very important event. And to couple it together with Yisro, name the Parsha Jethro after Moses' father-in-law is very, very strange. That's such an important event. First of all, is in the Parsha together with Yisro in the first place, but named after Yisro is pretty crazy. And if you look closer at the story that's before, the Gemara Masechah Zvachim Daf Kuf Tez Zayin Amanal says that there's an opinion that says, mentioned this a couple weeks ago, there's an opinion that says that this doesn't even belong here. Right? So basically it's out of chronological order, and like Rashi agrees with that side, that in the Gemara, that section of Yisro really didn't happen until after we received the Torah. So what in the world does the Torah put in the story of Yisro together with the Aseres HaDibros? That's an introduction to Aseres HaDibros, to the Ten Commandments, the episode at Mount Sinai, and that it's named after Yisro. Very perplexing. We asked this in the past many times. I'll give a little bit of a different answer today. And I always joke that the connection with Yisro at the beginning of the parasha has to do with the fact that it deals with Moses' father-in-law and the difficulty actually that they had together. So when you get married, the first thing you have to know, it seems the Torah is telling us how to deal with your in-laws. And Yisro is literally the typical in-law. He starts criticizing Moses right away. They take your father-in-law to work day, so Moses takes his father-in-law to work, and he observes, Yisro does, the Jewish people coming with all their problems to Moses. So Yisro says, this is not a good idea, Moses. Moses, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? You think you're Moses or somebody? Right? He says, Vayomer Chosim Moshe Elov. So Moses' father-in-law said, they don't even call him by his name, call him by his father-in-law, because this is a father-in-law line or a mother-in-law line. Lo tova davar sheta'o said, this is not good what you're doing. You're going to get wear out, and the nation's going to get worn out. This is too difficult for you. You can't do it by yourself. What are you, nuts? So he devises a plan to set a system. They have different levels of rabbis, and if a person has a small dispute, he goes to the lower level, and eventually, if there's a serious issue that needs to be answered, it goes to the Supreme Court, which is Moses. So that way, the Jewish people don't have to wait online, Moses doesn't have to get overworked, solves the problem. So Rosh Hashiva Yaakov Weinberg used to say that this is a terrible thing, and that the Jewish people lost Moses, and he sort of ruined all of Jewish history in a sense, and therefore Yisro was a bad guy. And although I have great reverence for Rosh Hashiva, and I quote him all the time, fact is, this is one area, and I mentioned this a few years ago, this is one time where I disagree. I don't think it's true that Yisro was a bad guy. If he was a bad guy, they wouldn't name the parasha after him of the Ten Commandments. And if he was a bad guy, then it should have been said that something bad, he was suggesting something bad. But the fact is, it doesn't say that. If you look in Parashat Dvarim, where Moses is complaining to the Jewish people about how badly they treated him. So one of the things he said is that about this episode. So basically, Moses complains, and Rashi explains his complaint, and he says in Parashat Dvarim, Perek Aleph, Pasuk Yudalad. So the Pasuk says, when you heard this change of events, that the Jewish people are going to have a hierarchy of judges and rabbis, you should have said, Moshe said, you should have replied, Rabbeinu Moshe, Memina Alumod. Who is it better, our teacher Moses, who is it better to learn from? From you or from your students? Isn't it better to learn from you, that you pained yourself over it? So, and then he goes on to say the reason is because you didn't want me, because you knew you couldn't bribe me, but you think to yourself, I can bribe lower judges much better. So you're looking out for yourself. So basically Moses says, you don't care about me, you're selfish. And that's one of the themes in the whole Parashat Dvarim, Sefer Dvarim, I should say. And the fact is that even though it can be read, this is a bad thing that happened, Moses wasn't upset about that. It is ridiculous for Moses to judge every single person, and it wouldn't be able to set up that way. Moses wasn't upset that they agreed or the plan was put into place. He was upset that they didn't care about him. He was upset. They should have said, not don't do it, because you have to do it. They should have said, though, Moses, we don't want to leave you. We know we have to, but we don't want to. Show you care about me just a little bit. Like, even just an ounce, you care about me? And that's the reason he says. He doesn't say shouldn't want to learn from you because you're brilliant, you're smart. That's not what it says. It doesn't say his brains. It doesn't say anything about his brains. It just says the reason why you should have wanted to learn from me is because I pained myself over it. It means I put my kishkas into it. I put my emotions into it. I cared about you. I cared about Torah. I cared about God. And that's the person who cares more is more valuable to learn from. In other words, it has to do with the relationship to Torah, not just an intellectual pursuit. And I think this is the entire message of Yisro beforehand, is that when you get married, is the same as when you have Torah. Torah is not to be approached in a logical, brain exercise, intellectual exercise. This has nothing to do with it. Torah is all about relationship, and I think this is also the message the Torah gives to us by the discussion with Yisro. It's an amazing thing. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. I said, I discovered this. This is unbelievable. Yisro says to Moses, Lo tov hadavar asher tasa. This is not good. And then he goes on to say that you can't do it levadecha by yourself. And these are exactly the same words used when God created Eve. It says over there, Lo tov. Again, the entire creation, God is saying that the creation is good. It's tov. One thing he says is lo tov. This concept of lo tov, it's not good. What's not good? That a person should be alone. What does that mean? Don't be a loner. Involve yourself in relationships. It's lo tov. It's the opposite of creation. I always say, when God says tov, vayar Hashem ki tov v'ratzo was good, what is he patting himself on the back? Oh, this is great. No, tov doesn't mean good. I think tov more accurately means right. There's a big difference between right and good. Right is a double meaning, a double entendre. Right means you're doing the right thing, morally correct, and right also means it's correct. It's in itself is good. It's the right thing. So there's a moral goodness, and then there's a correct, the notion of connect. And really, good can be interpreted those two ways as well. Factually correct, and it also means factually good, but also means that something that you morally is good. Right? We always see this in the term right in English. So when God says it's good, it's right, what he's trying to say is not that he did a great job. He's trying to say this is a perfect reflection of the truth of this world. And therefore, when he says lo tov, doesn't mean it's like bad. It just means it is not a reflection of the truth of this world. Because the truth of this world, even though sometimes it's hard to see, is God's having a relationship with the world, and we're having a relationship with the world. We learn from our relationships in this world to relate to God because we can't relate to God directly. The purpose of us being in this world is learning how to relate to our neighbors, to our friends, to our siblings, to our families in general, to our spouses, and most importantly. So lo tov means this is not good. It's not good to be a loner. You have to involve a relationship. And this is exactly, I think, what Jethro, Yisro's Moses' father was saying to him. Lo tov, this is not good. It's not good, not because it's a stupid idea, because for everyone to come to one rabbi. It's much more than that. It's because this is anti-relationship. You're doing this levadech all by yourself. You're hogging up. Let other people relate to people's questions in Torah. Let there be smaller rabbis. You have low-level rabbis at a little higher level, and a little higher level. You have different levels. And therefore, people can actually relate to Torah, not look at it as, I'm going to Moses to get my answers to my question, to the guru, to answer what the meaning of life is, so I could get the answer. I punch in the question, I get the answer. That's not what Torah is about. Torah is about relationship. And this is something phenomenon. It's an amazing thing. People don't realize when you ask for brains in general from God, you say, Atachoni l'odam das. You give us brains, please give me brains. You ask God for choni das, give me different aspects of wisdom so that I can learn Torah. But when we speak about Torah, we speak about receiving the Torah, the one prayer that stands out is a Shema. Because Kriyat Shema is about Kabbalat Ol Malchut Shemayim. It's about receiving the yoke of heaven upon you, which is exactly what we experience in Mount Sinai. So basically, our experience of Mount Sinai is replicated by the recitation of the Kriyat Shema twice a day. So if you look at the prayer service in the morning and evening for the prayer right before the Kriyat Shema, how we go into Kriyat Shema, which sort of corresponds to Parashat Yitro, how we go into the beginning, the first story of Yisro, before we go into receiving the Torah. We have this whole section of prayer, which is absolutely astounding. It's all about love. Ahava Rabbav. Tanu, you gave us a great love. Chemla Gedolis, you gave us, you pitied on us. It's an emotional prayer. And it ends off, Habocher Amo Yisrael b'Ahava, that you choose the Jewish people, you chose the Jewish people with love. And then it goes into Shema. Right? And we ask God, please, Avinu Avarachman, our Father in heaven, have mercy on us. The same one of the most moving songs I sang in Yeshiva was, please, God, have mercy on us. Please teach us your Torah. Why are we crying to God? Just say, open up my brain, put stuff in it. That's not what it's about. It's about relationship. And now also we say, Avas Olam of Tan. You loved us like an incredible level of love. Right? You love Jewish people. Right? And then we go into Shema. So receiving the Torah has to be introduced with love, and I think this is what Parashat Yitro is really all about. That's what it's teaching us. And I think that this is also true, obviously, of marriage. When you say Bachar, that God chose us, what does that mean he chose us? It means he married us. Because a Bachar, we said this many times in before Bachar is a single guy, Bachura is a single girl, and they both come from the word to choose. Why? Because the thing that defines a single person the most is their ability to choose the one person they want to relate to the most. So that's the potential they have, is to choose. And that's why it's called a Bachur. And this is not just true of marriage, it's true of any of our relationships. All the relationships we have in this world are to teach us how to relate to Torah, to teach us how to relate to God. And when I relate to God, I say, this is just like I relate to my parents, just how I relate to my siblings, relate to my children, relate to my friends. Relationships are the key to understanding how to connect to God and connect to Torah. And I think this is an appropriate message for Mal and Jonathan. These are two individuals who are brilliant, and they are very accomplished at a young age. But at the same time, they always have a smile on their face. They're always very easygoing about everything. They're always very willing and desiring in their life to connect and relate to other people. And I think it's a beautiful aspect of their personalities, and we're honored to have them as part of our shul, as members of our shul, as well as their engagement in our shul, and God willing, their marriage tomorrow, which is a Makor Bacha marriage. I'm performing the ceremony, so that automatically makes it Makor Bacha marriage. But they are really a very special couple that really have influenced our shul a lot in many, many ways, and have helped out and were contributing in so many different fashions of their talents. And but I think this is one of the really most beautiful ways that they affect our shul, is their sweetness, their smiles, and their desire to relate. So I give them a blessing to them and their families, that their families should see much nachas from them, and our community should see much nachas from them, and should be zocha, they should merit to build a beautiful Bayis Ne'em Yisrael, a beautiful Jewish home that is full of love and happiness and Torah. Shabbat Shalom.